Welcome, 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 welcome to our spiritual morning. Let's start our beautiful morning by closing our eyes, sitting down straight, taking a deep breath in, and a deeper breath out. Be in alignment with your breath and observe the in and out. And while you do that, let's do the lotus of gratitude. Let's bring our both hands together or separately and close them into two tiny buds or one bud, whatever you choose. And take these 100 seconds to be grateful for all that has happened in the last 24 hours. Thank you for all the beautiful things that keep happening, unfolding in our life, which makes us so grateful and aware that life is full of blessings. And we are the blessed ones. It's very important to know that each one of us can safeguard our own energy. And these times when the weather is changing and flu is at its peak, even here, we can simply shrug the flu out by safeguarding our energy. It doesn't matter what your blood reports show, the immunity chart, low, high, doesn't matter. What matters is your intention. What matters is your body's acceptance. If you wish to get the flu out, all you have to intend is that anything which is of not love's light, anything which is not of love's health, simply gets diverted, reflects back. And for this, you'll have to wear a protection shield. Every time you go out of the house, close your eyes for just a minute and imagine your body being covered with a purple suit, a divine purple suit, top to bottom, left to right, right to left, completely. Imagine that there's a layer of purple film on your face, your hands, your body, everywhere. And just say, I'm divinely protected. And I lock my good energy, lock, lock, lock. When you do this small little ritual, you're ensuring that anything which is not of love's light will never filter through. Alternatively, when you come back home, keep rock salt on your side of your basin sink. When you take soap and you wash, similarly take some rock salt, rub on your hands, full hands, top, bottom, everything, and say, I am rubbing my hands and releasing any kind of unwanted energy from my body through my hands. When you do this, you will be able to cast off any negative energy that you may have acquired, whether it's sickness or any kind of evil touch, and simply say, I leave it in water, knowing that water heals every single thing. And if anything is negative, I transmute that energy into love, light, and blessings and gratitude. The minute you do that, you're not a spreader of anything negative. Otherwise, in flu and COVID and all of these things, when people touch each other, meet each other, they become the carriers too. But if you're a carrier of something and you're just dropping it there and then in the sink with the intention that if there's something negative, it just transmutes into love, light, blessings, and gratitude, then immediately your aura is cleared. You, my dear friends, are beautiful, pure, whole, and complete, strong beyond words. You carry on your daily chores so beautifully. And anytime you get angry, anytime you get frustrated, anytime you get anxious, immediately do a tuning in and ask, does this pull my energy or does it increase my energy? And your answer will be quick. It drains your energy. Then you could ask yourself, do I want to drain my energy and feel low, or do I want to feel good when I've handled situation well? And your answer will be, yeah, handle situation well. And you're like, okay, so it is. And you'll find an immediate shift in your reaction to the action which had made you frustrated, anxious, tense, stressed, or whatever you felt. By now, we are aware that it's an energy in motion, which is an emotion. So immediately when we check our energy, we'll be walking on the path of soul. The soul's primary nature is to be love and light, to spread love and light. So if you don't bring anything negative, you're safeguarded. If you don't feel negative, which you will feel, we are human beings, we will feel, but if we do an immediate check, like we've been taught in our childhood, everybody's been taught that if you're angry, count backward 5 to 1 or 10 to 1 and your anger will subside. That's a beautiful way. Other way is the battery charge. What drains me is not acceptable to me. So I will not allow others to drain me of my energy, and now I will handle it well. I will not allow others to upset me because I can handle every situation very well. Good and bad, I can handle because now my energy is in the right place. And these deterrents do not affect my emotions or my being. When we keep affirming and keep checking, keep affirming, keep checking, you will realize that life has become so much more better. Why? Because we are in alignment with our real truth. And that is our dharma, that is our karma, that is our primary duty. So imagine yourself now in a situation that must have happened yesterday or day before or whatever, and just reflect on how you handled it versus how will you handle it. Take a good 3-4 minutes, think about it thoroughly, and on your own feel the difference of how you could have handled it. Though what's happened has happened, there's no need to mull over the past. But if we don't learn from the mistakes we make in the past, the mistakes will be again occurring in the future. To live a soulful life, we need to learn lessons from anything which is just draining us, or any shock, knock and shock of life. If it comes, we just have to learn a lesson. Earth is a beautiful school where we learn so much about ourselves and relationship with ourselves, with others. You will find a shift in your energy even when you think that you could have handled it better. And if you thought that you could have handled it better, just affirm, I have learned and I am willing to handle every situation in a much better way. Whatever I do, I'm guided, protected, and nurtured towards doing things in the right way, following my true essence of love and light. Whatever word comes to you, start affirming that I am guided towards doing the right, feeling towards the right, being towards the right. The quality of life we make of it. Stillness speaks. So it's good to be still. It's good to develop a practice to be still, even when you are meditating. Try and see that your body shouldn't move. In Vipassana, we are not allowed to move at all. When you keep your posture straight without moving, the energy flow from your root to your sestral is so much better. Imagine a hose in your garden. If it's not straight, it takes time because it has to go round and round and, manage water. But if it's straight, it goes. So if you want to go straight in your energy, then just have to be straight and still. And now let's do some grounding. Imagine that your feet are on Mother Earth without chopples. So if it's cold and you can't do that, it's fine. If you're in like cross-legged, it's fine. But if you can put your feet on the floor, do that right now. Sit down straight with your hands on your laps, facing heavenwards. Imagine the beautiful silver white healing light coming from your crown chakra, and the crown chakra opening into 1,000 petal lotus. So bigger, so expansive, so beautiful. And it's become so big, it's protecting you as if like an umbrella, a big giant umbrella, as if. This light is traveling through your brain, clearing all blockages, brightening up your eyes. You're able to see the world more brightly. Going through your ears, you're able to listen now so much better. Till now you were hearing, now you've learned the art to listen to people when they're saying something, to be there physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, ethically, and not letting your monkey mind chatter away. You are in the present when the person is saying, you're hearing from your eyes also, because the eyes have been recharged. Great listener. With your body, you listen, which means that you not only listen, you're also seeing what the person is feeling. Is his or her hands, are they, is he or her calm or fidgety, restless or resting? This light is traveling through your throat chakra, opening all possible blockages into your heart, making it more expansive for love, receiving and giving, into your solar plexus, allowing you to manifest life so beautifully, into your sacral, grounding you as a much more solid person, into your root, charging your basic foundation. And while it's traveled through your these chakras, it's traveled through your entire body, your entire system, clearing any blockages, entering your legs, your knees, your calves, your ankle, your feet, healing anything which is of not love's light in your body. And now to have a further more immunity, we will invite Mother Earth's golden white healing light from our feet. So imagine this beautiful light entering your ankles, recharging your fingers so beautifully. Ankles, any disease, any discomfort there is being healed by this light, because light is a healer. Traveling up through your calves, into your knees, into your chest. Before that, your stomach area, other areas, your other chakras, going up. I'm being guided today only about heart, so I just reach chest. Keep going up to your throat, to your third eye. And now feel the light entering and exiting through every pore of your being, because you're so charged up. You don't need the extra charge, it is now in your body. So you become a carrier of light and you're sharing your love and light. The light is exiting from any possible pore it gets in your body. See it. Feel it. And now affirm, I am a grounded person. My soul grounds me. Me. Mother Earth grounds me. I am grounded. Which means at this point you have kind of left any possible ego, kind of left anything which is not making you humble. Because no matter how rich you are, now you've dropped those layers of ego, of superiority complex. Because superiority complex or inferiority complex, they are all forms of ego. And when we live in a body where the soul is already there and we are going in alignment with our soul's purpose, soul's journey, then first thing we need to drop is ego. Neither do we feel low, nor do we compare with people. Oh, this is better, that is better, that is. We're grateful for what they have and we invite that energy with us. That's perfect. And neither do we feel superior, because we know what we have is there because of a lot of work. And now we also bless the others that may they also have what we have. It's not easy to do at all, trust me. So there's superiority complex or superiority feeling gives you an edge. But actually, that edge is only taking you downwards spiritually. Materialistically, it may be taking you up, making you feel important. But say spiritually, we are all about expansiveness, about oneness. So be in alignment with that. And now fold your hands and be grateful for anything new that you may have learned, or all that you have learned, if it's old, for a reminder to have been in alignment with that energy again. Mostly it's going to be all old, nothing new, maybe. Spread your hands out and bless the world with love, light, abundance, blessings, joy, growth, evolution, ascension. Blessed be. May our blessings reach far and beyond the planet, or in this universe, far beyond that. Collective consciousness. And now bring your hands and place them on your heart. And say, dear heart, I'm so proud of you for sending so much of blessings, for understanding such real lessons. And let's just drop anything which is not of love's light, especially any kind of ego. And with this, you can rub your hands if you wish. And bless your wonderful body. And open the eyes. And be ready for a beautiful book that we've been reading. Miracles happen. Miracles happen every single day. And today, we will read this beautiful chapter, number 4, Freedom from Emotional Pain. Fears, phobias, anxieties, and other emotional states can be as debilitating as physical illnesses. Just like physical symptoms, psychological distress can have its origin in past life events. Once those are discovered, healing can be rapid and relatively complete. Freedom and joy can be regained. Not all afflictions are rooted in the traumas of prior lifetimes. Current lifetimes are sometimes the culprits of, may even be compounding past life seeds. And the stresses of today's competitive and overly materialistic world add their own weight to our emotional maladies. So much sadness and anxiety assail us because we are easily distracted and overwhelmed by day-to-day events. We have to juggle work, relationships, interactions with other people at every moment. We have to deal with the daily needs. So we forget that we are spiritual beings, which leads to emotional turmoil. Spiritual beings should think and behave like spiritual beings. That is our true nature and ultimate destiny. But when the circumstances of every day lead us astray and we forget our own nature, this is when sorrow, worry, fear enter. That is when inner peace, joy, and happiness exit. All we have to do is remember who we are and what we have been through, where we have come from, why we are here. As we do this, emotional healing will naturally follow, just as it did for the authors of the stories in this chapter. As emotional symptoms are resolved, the patient's family and friends benefit as well. Their stress and responsibility are lessened. Even beyond this healing shift, relatives and significant others may indirectly experience the feelings and facts of the regression. As they hear stories, they feel the emotion and the immediacy of memories. They react and respond to the improvement in their loved ones' lives. Often, to their surprise and joy, they find their own symptoms and illnesses disappearing. Such was the case with Mira's lover in the remarkable story that follows. Whatever we read was the truth. I don't think a single of us will say, no, 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 it doesn't work like this. So when we are reading the book, If we start living the book, like if you start imagining that time that you're living in something similar, and this is how you handle, voila, you've attracted that energy to you. The lesson of love. The story of how I became acquainted with the powerful process of experiencing one's past life began during my summer vacation after seventh grade. I grown up in a communist Bulgaria, and topics of any mystical or religious nature were simply not a part of my upbringing. However, a few years later, before that summer, the wave of the democratic revolution had swept through Eastern Europe and spiritual information had become readily available. The summer I was 13 years old, I come across your book Through Time into Healing, even though the concept of reincarnation was not a part of my childhood, and I doubt it was ever discussed in my presence. I did not question the possibility of its existence. It just seemed so natural, so normal. As Voltaire said, it is not more surprising to be born twice than once. I absolutely loved the stories in the book. I loved the wisdom in it, the possibilities it presented to me. I loved it so much that upon reading the final few pages, I immediately decided to make a recording of myself reading the sample script given in the book and experience a regression for myself. But I'm only 13. There is really nothing wrong with me. I have no phobias, no physical ailments. Why should I be this? Why should I do this? But the pull, the curiosity in me was too strong to resist. I made the recording, rewound the tape to the beginning, and even though I did not know what to expect, I pressed play. The recording guided me through a beautiful relaxation, and I felt very calm and comfortable. At the moment I crossed through the door into a past life that changed, I immediately dropped into the body of a woman who was running for her life, and I became her. My heart was pounding with fear, and my inhalations of air were short, abrupt, desperate. I was terrified. It was terrifying. I was running down a dimly lit hallway and knew that there were men chasing after me who would kill me if they caught me. My grey suit consisted of a jacket and skirt made of thick wool. I wore black stockings and a black shoes with small heels. My dark hair was neatly tucked in a bun on the back. The brick walls reverberated with the sound of my steps as I ran. There were rows of doors on both sides, but upon trying to open them, I discovered that they were all locked. Finally, a door handle gave in. I entered the room and saw that it was bare, and with one small window with bar on it was that high up on the wall close to the ceiling. I knew that I was trapped and they would catch me. It was at the time of World War II. I was a doctor who, instead of healing a German general, had poisoned and killed him. This is why these men were after me. They were seeking revenge. The next scene was one that I looked at from above. I saw how I was put on an electric chair, how my hands and legs were strapped in it, how I was executed. Then something truly beautiful happened. I watched as my spirit rose from my body. It slowly drifted upwards. There was a trail of white light in front of it that it followed. At the end of the path, there was an open door through which a magnificent white light was shining. At the door, there stood a being that glowed with love and light, waiting to greet my spirit. I felt such peace, such love, such a sense of being eternal. That night, I eagerly waited for my mother to return from work. I told her what I had experienced and asked her if electric chairs had really existed during World War II. Years later, I learned that they have been around since 1890. The event was a formative experience in my life, and it is interesting that it happened at the age of 13. The number 13 is believed to be the number of change. To numerologists and tarot readers, it is a number of transformation. It calls for a study of one's basic principles, what one believes in. It attracts changes in the way a person defines everything in her life, which leads to shifts in the worldview and essence. I'd certainly been transformed by my first regression. Many years later, the story of a lifetime that I'd experienced as a child developed even further at a workshop at Omega Institute, led by Brian. During one of the group regressions, an image of a long road lined with birch trees began emerging in my mind. I saw myself as a young woman walking down a quiet dirt road in the country. In my hand, I carried a small suitcase, and on my head, I had a kerchief. I was leaving my village to move to St. Petersburg to study medicine. The final stop I made on the way was to go to the cemetery where I paid my respects to the graves of my dead relatives. My heart was heavy. It would be many years before I could return home, if at all. While studying at the university, I was recruited by the Secret Service of Soviet Union. There were troubles brewing in Europe, and there were even talks of a possible war. They sent me to Europe to spy for my country. I was a very attractive woman who knew how to use her charms, and it was easy for me to gather information. I saw a vivid scene of me sitting in front of a small device that I was using to send coded wires with the information I collected. There was a nightclub establishment frequented by many Americans. I found myself going there as close as I could, hoping to meet a particular man I had come to know. I was surprised to discover within me that I was interested in him, not because of my work, but because I was falling in love with him. He was in love with me too. The next scene unfolded on a large set of stairs in front of a big administrative building. I had received orders to move to a different location in Europe, so I had come to say goodbye. The man stood in front of me, telling me that he loved me, begging me not to leave, and asking me to marry him, even though I loved him very much. I could not stay. I had already given my word and pledged my life, my love, and my heart to my country. I assured him that when he went back home to the family farm in America, he would marry a nice woman, have children, and be happy. I said goodbye and with tears in my eyes rushed down the stairs towards the car which was waiting for me. Later, I married an important German officer. It greatly facilitated my work and protected me. World War II had already begun. I had been practicing medicine, mostly treating German military men, and had received orders to terminate a high ranking German general whom I was treating for an illness. I saw myself standing in front of a table. Next to me, sitting on a chair, was a general. There's a glass of water on the table. I held a small container with powder in it and looked up towards the ceiling, feeling anxiety within me for what I was about to do. Yet, thinking that there was no other choice, I poured the powder to the glass, thinking of giving the general his medication. I had given him poison. This is where my first regression as a child fits in. I saw myself again running down the rail hallway and eventually getting caught, but this time because I was much older and getting better to handle the whole story, I saw the gruesome details of the interrogations to which I was subjected. Did I betray my network? No, until the very end. I maintained that I had acted alone. I was beaten, tortured, questioned, and then many more times all over again, beaten, tortured, and questioned. The only thing that my interrogators spared me from was rape. They felt that I had belonged to one of them, and that was a line they could not cross. At the end, they placed me on the electric chair and executed me. As my spirit was rising above the scene, I knew that the lesson of the lifetime was a lesson of love, of needing to approach every situation with love and allowing myself to be loved. That whole lifetime had been orchestrated so that I could have the opportunity to choose love when standing on those stairs at the American, as an American man asked me to marry him. Yet I chose to stay true to my promise to serve my country. I also knew that what after I left, he felt that he had nothing to live for. My leaving had broken his spirit. He died in a dirt ditch, having been shot right in the forehead during combat with the German army. In the hours that followed this experience, I was shaken to my core and filled with an enormous sense of regret for having wasted one whole lifetime and for having harmed another person, but knowing that we were eternal.
We are eternal. I also know that every lifetime enriches our souls with invaluable lessons. My soul must have chosen to experience and learn the lessons of profound love in my current lifetime, because nothing gives me a greater sense of meaning and fulfillment than bringing love, light, and inspiration to people. One of the ways I most enjoy assisting people is by helping them to experience their past lives and gain understanding about the people and the circumstances that surround them. I'm also in a very loving relationship with a man who coincidentally has two very deep-seated and irrational fears. The first, a fear of ever losing me, and the second of being shot point blank in the forehead. It makes me wonder, is this my second chance at love with the American man I once knew? Isn't this absolutely heartwarming? जो कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ था वो कंप्लीट होगा. ऑप्शंस, अपॉर्चुनिटीज, चॉइसेस मिलेंगी. एक बार नहीं, दो बार नहीं, तीन बार नहीं, 10 लाइफ मिलेंगी. सिमिलरली, कोई कार्मिक बैगेज किसी के साथ है, अगर आपको हैवी एनर्जी लगती है, उसको अभी रिजॉल्व कर लीजिए, नहीं तो फिर एक बार नहीं, दो बार नहीं, तीन बार नहीं, 10 लाइफ मिलेंगी. We are here to love on Mother Earth. Learn to love. And if we can't love, at least forgive. Don't hold that malice or the regret or that anger in your heart. Don't. Dr. Bryce says, as a 13-year-old, Meera acted upon her intuitive wisdom and her curiosity for understanding the spiritual growth as she listened to the tapes that she had made. The decision changed her life, leading her to her higher potentiality, her healing work, and eventually to reunion with her soulmate. Her soulmate's fear of losing her again is typical of the underlying theme of separation anxiety. Frequently, children who seem almost irrationally frightened of being separated from their parents have actually lost them in previous lives. They subconsciously remembered the loss, just like Mira's present day lover. The cure for this type of separation fear is to recognize its roots in a past life event. The trauma has already happened. It is from another time. It is not something to fear in the present or in the future. Her soulmate's concerns about once again losing Mira and of being shot in the head both stem from the World War II era. Knowing this, he can release them and nurture a relationship that is freer and not constricted by deep seated insecurities. Mira's description of the events after physical death, when her spirit left her body, closely echoes studies of the near death experiences, studies that she was not aware of when she was only 13. The magnificent restorative light and the loving spiritual being in Mira's story are universally encountered in the NDE. Their confronting presence and validation of the afterlife help people lose their fear of death and dying. We are, they remind us, immortal, and death is but a doorway to the other side. Every so often, a synchronicity will arise and almost forcibly seize my attention. Synchronous events are apparently coincidental occurrences of related events that to me have a linkage at a metaphysical level. We may not understand that causal linkage, but it is there. As I finished writing my reflection on Mira's story early in 2012, my phone buzzed with the incoming email. Less than 5 minutes had elapsed since I wrote about releasing present day fears because the traumas had already happened in a past life. In the email, a woman described to me how her crippling fear of flying had prevented her from fully enjoying life. Traveling for pleasure and for business was severely restricted. In 2003, she had attended a workshop that I was conducting at Miami. As I led the group through a path of regression, she began to vividly remember a World War II lifetime. I found myself looking out of an airplane cockpit. I was a man, the pilot of a military personnel transport plane, she wrote. The plane crashed into mechanical failure, killing all passengers and crew, as well as the co pilot and myself. The workshop ended. Within a short period of time, the fruits of a regression were ready to harvest. 11 days after the workshop, she explained, I had an emergency call. I need to fly to Boston. I felt nothing, zero, no fear. There was nothing. Since that day in 2003, I've flown many times and they have never had a single moment of fear or anxiety. So, though this has been a long time coming, thank you, Dr. Weiss. If I needed a cosmic exclamation point, here it was. Only moments after I had written about it. Confirmation that current fears and phobias often have past life roots arrived by email. Remembering these roots can completely cure the symptoms. There is no need to be anxious or afraid anymore. The workshop that cured this woman took place nearly 9 years ago, yet her email came within just 5 minutes of a perfect bullseye. She could have told me a story at any time over all these years. The probability of the timing being a coincidence is remote, and so, as a final connection, both stories involve traumatic deaths in World War II. Meera shares another story with us below, learning to allow. And I must request everyone, when we read these stories, please see for yourself, you will find familiarity. When we're reading Learning to Allow, do we definitely allow ourselves to learn? It's a question that we must ask ourselves and then traverse our journey when it's meant to be. Nonetheless, back to the story. This is a story of Anina Chimo and the lesson of needing to allow. One of the regression exercises that I did with Brian Weiss during a workshop at the Omega Institute, the image of a group of people crawling up a small slope emerged. I wondered what the image could have been and if it was something I needed to brush to the side in my mind in order to get to something more valid. However, I remembered Brian saying that this might be the thread that pulled me in, and I decided to stay with it and see what developed. The picture came into focus. The group of people was a band of Native Americans. I wondered which tribe they belonged to, and in my head popped the answer that they were the Plain Indians. Next, I began searching for myself among the group of people, and there I was. In an instant, I knew that my name was Andana Chimo. I kept on repeating the name to myself in order to remember it, as I was a name I had never heard before. At that moment that I identified myself as Andana Chimo, I fully became him. Everything that I experienced in that lifetime was as if I were fully that person, feeling his emotions, feeling what it was like to only have his body. And then Achimo was a young man with an agile, lean, and muscular body. He was tall, with long black hair and a strong, square jaw. Around his neck, he wore the tooth of a white bear that he had killed in a hunting trip up north. The band of Indians was very careful when ascending the slope. On the top of the slope was a flat area where a house was built. They were spying on the settlers who lived there and who had been invading the lands of the Ananachimos tribe. Ananachimo was looking across a valley that was surrounded by hills as far as the eye could see. He lifted his left hand, placed his palm in the front of his shoulder, and gave a solemn vow to protect his land and his people from the settlers. He was greatly attuned to nature. Nature spoke to him. He heard the whisper of the trees when their leaves were swaying in the wind. Every flower, bush, and blade of grass carried a message that he was able to read. He was also a healer using herbs to bring the health of his people back into balance. An important event occurred in Anana Chimo's life when he was 37 years old. He had captured and bonded with a Mustang that had big red and white spots. The name of the horse was Red Lightning. The white people had somehow taken possession of his Mustang, and Nachimo tried to free it, but they caught him and accused him of stealing the horse. To punish him, the white people tied his hands above his head and whipped him. I did not experience the horror of every whip falling on his back. I only saw that as the white people began whipping him, the horse, which was nearby, watched everything and shared Andanachimo's anger and sense of injustice. It was raising its front legs, kicking and making terrible noises as it tried to free itself. However, it was futile. The event broke Andanachimo's spirit. He lost his horse. He also lost his faith in his ability to protect his land and his people. He felt that great injustice was being done, but that he was powerless to bring about any change. As time went by, things got worse. His tribe was driven towards the northwest. They were far away from their hunting grounds. On a cold day at the age of 42, Andanachimo died. He was lying down in the tepi, feeling defeated because he could not protect his people, he could not save them. When his spirit left his body, outside women and children from his tribe, as most men had died, were going about their day. They were cold, hungry, and completely lost. As the regression was nearing an end, I began searching for the soul lesson of that life. The lesson was about allowing. I had to learn to allow. I blamed myself for having failed to protect and save my people, but the truth was that I could not have saved anyone, protected them from the painful historic events. I must allow for people's lives to unfold as they are meant to because their souls need their experiences. They've agreed to go through their challenges to learn their own lessons and find their own enlightenment. I had seen the big injustice caused by the white men as an evil that I had promised to fight. Yet I had failed to really be of help in times when I was most needed. People do not need saving, people need love, support, encouragement that they can withstand only trials and will always come out stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. I cannot shelter anyone from the storms of life, or they will never grow, learn, and expand. But how do you maintain the balance of being loving, kind, and helpful against wanting to save people from the injustice of the world or their own silly mistakes? The lesson continued to be a challenge for me so many years and lifetimes later. Even though I changed my gender, my name, and my appearances, I still want to rush in and shield people. I left the class session, headed to my room that night with these heavy questions on my mind. My cabin at Omega had two rooms in it. Upon entering the hallway, I met one of the neighbors. She was on her way to the bathroom, which was shared between our rooms. A moment later, she realized that she and the other roommate who was showering had locked themselves out as both their keys were in their room and the door automatically locked. It was raining heavily outside, and my neighbor was barefoot. What a situation to find yourself in. I offered to help. As I walked in the rain trying to find an Omega Star person, I instantly recognized that this little crisis unfolded because of me. What a beautiful gift that was. It delivered to me the final piece of my lesson. I should always help people in every way I can and should spare no effort when assisting them on their path. Yet I should never try to alter the course of their lives by shielding them or trying to save them from their troubles because doing so would impede their invaluable experiences and the expansion of their souls. I was so grateful to our lovely neighbors, my lesson crystallized for me. होता है ना, as parents you want to save your child from falling down, but जब तक वो गिरेगा या गिरेगी नहीं तब तक वो उठेगा या उठेगी नहीं ना. We can't safeguard people from making mistakes, but when they make a mistake we can help them learn better than what they may learn on their own. So that's a lesson to be learned. It has been almost 3 years now since that regression, and that understanding it created an incredible transformation in me. Now I have a different perspective on needing to rush in and save people. I've learned to allow, to admire, and to see the immense value and power in the unfolding of everyone's path, says Mira Kelly. Mira again presents a classic regression experience and important divine truths. When you are open to these lessons and you trust the wisdom that guides you on your path, you will observe the synchronicities, the manifestation of grace, the helping hand. These events are not random, they are not coincidences. As she struggled to comprehend a regression message of allowing without interfering, Mira was led within hours to sense that would provide her with the insight to understand a scene as simple as two people being locked out of their room. I know the rooms at Omega well. There are no phones inside them, so Mira could not call for assistance. The paths are unlit, and to walk such great distances in the pouring rain takes considerable effort. This was no small gesture to help on Mira's part. With considerable effort, with a flash of recognition, she learned the nuances of a spiritual lesson. Great teachers have always used these examples, scenarios, parables, and metaphors to help us understand their teachings. As did Mira, Raymond had a flash of recognition as he learned his own spiritual lesson, although to him it felt more like an electric shock. In one day, his entire world was turned upside down and inside out. You have already read his fascinating account of shared consciousness with a stranger, but now let us digress back in time to his first ever past life experience. We will read about this tomorrow, but today this is it. And let's now see. Okay, I thought I dropped out of the meeting. Okay, so here we are. Lie down if you wish, or settle comfortably on your chair. If you can change the chair to a sofa, do that. Take a minute to be more comfortable. Now tune in with your breath. Feel aligned. We are here to grow, to go deeper in our being. No judgments. Just being who we are. We're here to tune inwards to find a lesson of the day. And these lessons of the day can be spoken to us by our masters, given to us by our angels, or messengers of God. Anybody could relay those messages to us and we understanding them. So the more we go internally, the more we're ready to grow. So as your eyes are closed and your bodies are comfortable, take a deep breath in. Hold it. And a deep breath out. Hold it. Repeat this box breathing at least twice.
at your own pace. Be in sync with your wonderful breath. Today's intention of our beautiful meditation is to discover a lesson that nature is trying to teach us. So I'd like to request you to explore which loop repeats itself again and again in your life. For example, in my life, every time I go for my health, an injury happens in my legs. So see for yourself which loop are you forever in. And now, if you found that loop, or if you haven't, then have an intention for today's meditation. What is it that you want to discover? And if there's nothing coming in your mind, then just say whatever lesson has to come for me, may that come. But if you have a question, why do I store anger in my body? Or why do I fall sick? Or whatever your question can be, you can ask in your this intention. Be rest assured those answers will be downloaded, or you'd be able to see them, feel them, hear them, maybe, and they may manifest as a physical form for you to learn. So have a clear intention. And now just be aware that whatever is unfolding is not your mind's creation, but the ones who are here to work on self understand. We don't need a regressionist right now. We will be our own regressionist. So let's start counting 20 to 1. And at that juncture, you will be into a deep trance-like state. And just allow yourself to be there, because this is where the magics happen, the messages come. And when they come, if you wish to share them on the group, do that. Or with me personally, do that. So I'm now going to take you into a deep trance. Before that, I want you to imagine the softest of cloud around. And your chair is now replaced by this cloud. You're sinking in so beautifully. At the right place, the cloud will give you comfort. You feel so light because now you can't feel your body, because a cloud has taken all the weight with it. And it's hugging you, snuggling with you. You want your body raised, the cloud becomes a recliner. You want the body like a chair, the cloud becomes a comfortable chair. You want the softest, coziest bed, it becomes that, knowing that you have to do the work to be a bit alert yourself and not sleep away. Because right now you want a truth to be channeled through you. It could be that you sleep and the truth is channeled, but the chances are a bit less. Because then the subconscious mind takes over. But you also need the help of your analytical mind to do chores in this body. So with the count of 20, you're now getting relaxed. 19, learning to grow. 18,
You're going in more deeper. 17. 16. Your body is allowing it to rest. 17. 16. You're going in deeper into your being. 15. The world of love, peace, joy is opening up for you. You're in a bigger room with so many collective consciousness people who are raising their conscience. As you go further, deeper in, keep going in deeper and deeper. You're no longer in requirement to be counted, is the guidance I've been given right now. Once again, repeat guidance. All you souls are ready to go deeper and deeper in your being. Just keep drifting down as if you're climbing one floor down, another floor down. And when you reach the bottommost part, there's a beautiful garden of light and love waiting for you. Enjoy it. Enjoy your lesson download. Enjoy this blissful time. Be blessed.